Imagine your ultimate fantasy. You're on a vital mission in an exotic land. You're in mortal danger, but you're surviving on your wits and your animal instincts. You're ruthless, charming, and utterly irresistible. My name's Elizabeth Hurley, and tonight I'm going to indulge that fantasy. Come with me into the world of the most famous agent ever to work on Her Majesty's Secret Service. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Bond. James Bond. Tonight, it's an exclusive look at the man who brought action to the movies.
My name is Bond.
Bond.
James Bond.
Hang on for a look back at the incredible action, the ruthless villains,
When I saw it for the first time, I jumped out of my seat.
and the most ravishing women ever to grace the silver screen.
Bond girls never sweat. They just glow.
Go behind the scenes on some particularly close calls.
The third crocodile was waiting for him.
See classic Bond gadgetry. And meet the new James Bond.
No more foreplay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new James Bond, Mr. Pierce Brosnan.
Internationally known actor Pierce Brosnan will bring Agent 007 back to the screen in the newest and most ambitious Bond film yet, GoldenEye.
My name's Bond. James Bond. It's a hoot.
I've been besotted with James Bond for years. He is the hottest superhero of all time. No wonder so many men want to be like him.
Would you care to try your luck, Mr.
Bundy. Al Bundy.
Mr. Bond's drinks will be complimentary. Gold Sting.
How did Bond become so popular? Well, with a legacy like his, it's not too hard to figure out. His number says it all, 007, British secret agent with a license to kill. With a title like that, you know there's going to be some action.
We've had some interesting times together, Ling. I'll be sorry to go. I think they were on their way to a funeral.
When I think of the Bond films, I think of like that kind of suave guy in a tuxedo with lots of fabulous babes and gruesome villains, blowing things up in a cartoonish manner and never really raising a sweat.
I remember going to see James Bond movies when I was a little girl, and it was the ability to be able to live out a fantasy through James Bond. Beautiful girls and the locations and the lifestyle.
Bollinger, 75.
I see you are a connoisseur, Monsieur Bond.
He's a wonderful fantasy figure. If you went out searching, I doubt you'd find a man like that today.
James, I thought this would never happen.
He had to say some of the most banal lines probably ever written, but he just did it with such panache that it worked.
Can I do something for you, Mr. Bond?
Just a drink.
Would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
Mixed like you said, sir.
Shaken, not stirred. Shaken, not stirred.
Shaken, not stirred.
Oh, that's stirred, not shaken. That was right, wasn't it?
Perfect.
You have to say those lines. That is his drink. Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred.
Bond was more debonair, he was more dashing. He had like a kind of veneer of sophistication that we usually don't see in our action heroes these days.
Shocking.
All of this was the brainchild of a British reporter and ex-naval intelligence officer with an imaginative flair for adventure, detail, and exotic locations. His name was Ian Fleming. His Jamaican retreat was named GoldenEye, the inspiration for the title of the latest Bond film. It was here in 1952 that Fleming created the original character, which he actually named after the author of a book he found on his coffee table. He felt that the name held the simple yet sophisticated qualities of his character. Sexual escapades and high adventure are at the center of the revolutionary and highly controversial James Bond thrillers.
I think that people like to read about heroes. Spying has always been regarded as a very romantic one-man job, so to speak, one man against the whole police force or an army. As for sex, well, sex is a perfectly respectable subject as far as Shakespeare is concerned, and I don't see why it shouldn't be so far as I'm concerned.
The James Bond character was introduced in Playboy in 1960 in a short story, and it was before the phenomenon. It was before we discovered that JFK was also a James Bond fan.
In 1961, Life magazine validated James Bond popular culture when an article naming President Kennedy's favorite books included the Ian Fleming spy series. Almost overnight, millions of Bond thrillers were sold.
The reader response was positive, but I think that the real phenomenon began for us with the arrival of the films.
Enter Albert Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, two film producers who are both fans of Fleming's books. They teamed up to begin shooting 007's feature film debut, Dr. No. When it came to casting, Broccoli and Saltzman instantly agreed they'd found their James Bond in a former truck driver turned actor from Scotland, Sean Connery.
Up slowly into the face of war.
You felt the animal with Sean, always. He was very male. He was very strong. He was very present within the scenes. And the scenes were very real in his hands.
Where's the girl like him in?
In 1962, Dr. No exploded onto American screens and quickly became a hit. A superhero was born. The film's other bombshell was the debut of Swiss actress Ursula Andress.
I think certainly the favorite actress is Ursula Andress in the first Bond film. Coming out of the sea in that bikini with the knife on her hip was delicious.
What are you doing here? Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
Dr. No ushered in a new genre of high-tech thriller. It made an impressive $15 million in ticket sales and changed the way we looked at action-adventure films forever. The producers doubled the budget for the next Bond film, From Russia with Love. The film was bigger and better in every way. The villains became more diabolical, and Bond's knack for taking them out became even more action-packed. Ticket sales reached an unheard of $25 million. The Bond phenomenon was truly underway. 007's adventures were sought by movie audiences around the world. Still, no one was fully prepared for the success of the next Bond feature.
Goldfinger, 1964. You know, it was staggering. He was, well, first of all, there was this naked golden lady lying on a bed. There was the guy, odd job, with the hat. And I suppose maybe in some way the seeds of wanting to be an actor were sown there.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
The film had three elements that became Bond signatures: an unforgettable assortment of villains, legendary sets, and the most alluring gallery of women ever to appear in a single film.
Oh.
This is no time to be rescued.
Goldfinger grossed $3 million in its first 2 weeks of release, a record for its time. Theaters stayed open 24 hours a day. It was the first worldwide mega hit, and Bond mania spawned massive merchandising.
You too can be a secret agent at modest cost and small risk.
It wasn't long before television executives began to capitalize on James Bond and the 007 adventures.
There was a phenomenon going on in the 60s, the tremendous spy phenomenon. The number of other films and television shows that were so popular in the 60s, and Bond was the inspiration for that.
Will you be late to matinee?
Matinee what?
It's a reward. I promised we would take him to the movie.
What movie?
It's an English picture. Wonderful cast. Many of your favorite stars in it.
The Adventures of 007, right?
Oh, man. Now, listen, don't knock the competition. You may pay to watch him. You may learn something.
But audiences didn't stay home when Bond came to the theaters. Connery's next 3 films grossed $150 million, and he became the highest-paid actor in the world. But the demands of the series took their toll. Connery made the decision to retire from the part.
I've had long sort of innings, as it were, and very intense innings, and I want to change direction now, take another breath and do something else.
You just killed James Bond.
On Her Majesty's Secret Service starred newcomer George Lazenby. Although the picture was a success, Lazenby stepped away after only 1 film.
This never happened to the other fellow.
The demand for Bond was insatiable. Producers Broccoli and Saltzman turned to dashing British actor Roger Moore to carry on the legacy.
How can I refuse such a gracious invitation? Where's Peckish? Where's Peckish?
Pyramids!
What a helpful chap.
Moore pushed the series forward with 7 more Bond films that together grossed over $340 million.
If you're going to make action-adventure films, then what better than to be in the best of them all, which is Bond. You know, if you're going to be leading man in something, then be in something where they spend a lot of money and take a lot of time and care.
In 1985, Moore retired from the role. Timothy Dalton brought to the part a hard-edged reality that audiences now demanded.
Timothy Dalton, I felt, brought a grittiness and a realism and a more of a human quality to Bond.
I need to use your phone. She'll call you back.
Who are you?
Bond, James Bond. Exercise Control 007 here. I'll report in an hour.
Won't you join me?
Better make that 2.
And now, for the 17th Bond film, a 007 for the 90s explodes onto the screen with a modern flair. Pierce Brosnan is the new James Bond.
I'm very excited. The support from people over the years has been amazing. So I really am thrilled to be able to get to do this.
The new film GoldenEye marks an unprecedented level of Bond action, with bigger stunts, more sinister villains, and a new perspective to the legendary character.
I think Pierce Brosnan is an excellent choice for Bond. He has the qualities that people have liked in Bond before. You know, he looks good in a tuxedo. He's got a certain savoir-faire. He has a good self-deprecating sense of humor, which always comes in well for Bond.
You don't need the gun.
That depends on your definition of safe sex.
It looks like that naughty Mr. Bond has lost none of his devastating appeal. But you'd think that after decades of harrowing escapes, he might consider an easier line of work. But then again, what would a James Bond film be without a good dose of rollicking action and a death-defying stunt or 2? Or 3? Or maybe even 4?
Coming up next, a look back at 007, the man of action, including the stunts that went dangerously wrong and the record-breaking bungee jump from the newest James Bond film, GoldenEye.
Now, promise you'll stay right there. I shan't be long.
You have to wonder about secret agents sometimes, because you'd think the term secret would imply maintaining a low profile. In the world of 007, this Aston Martin is about as low profile as it gets. But over the years, this car has helped him out of some extremely dodgy situations. Be it behind the wheel or not, Bond certainly had more than his fair share of the action.
Drop a bomb.
What is it with you and moving vehicles?
For GoldenEye, there's a vehicle of the 90s. The new BMW Z3 Roadster will usher in the action with contemporary style.
No, Wade. Don't push any of the buttons on that car.
We're just gonna go bombing around in it.
Exactly.
Leave it to a Bond movie to deliver something new and different every time. One of the most tremendous and memorable stunts was the open to The Spy Who Loved Me.
The stunt's been called by a couple of very generous reviewers the greatest and one of the greatest stunts in film history. And, you know, it wasn't very complex. Some of these stunts are really complex and technological. This one, you know, I almost felt that Gravity should have got equal billing, equal credit as, you know, I didn't really have to do that much except go over the edge.
Choreographing these kinds of stunts is no easy task. The risks in filming them are very real. In fact, over the years of making Bond films, there's been some close calls.
The sequence in the Everglades was quite an exciting sequence, and we had a lot of boats, and they were traveling at very, very high speed.
He came up the bank exactly where we expected him to come, went sliding across the garden, but on the opposite side there were about 4 or 5 cypress trees. And he should have gone between them, but he didn't. He went bang, and the whole side of the boat was wiped out.
But there was more than one close call for Roger Moore's stunt double on the set of Live and Let Die.
And it was a very nasty feeling actually being on the island on my own for the first little bit. And you know that they're all, you know, the rest of them haven't rehearsed, they haven't read the script, they don't know I'm James Bond, that I've got to live. We're halfway into the film, and I had to finish the film, so the producers are not, although they would have liked to kill me from time to time, could not afford to lose me, so Ross Kananga had my trousers and my shoes.
He was dressed up as Bond, and he did it. And the time he made the jump, from the moment he touched the first crocodile, the third crocodile had his head up and was waiting for him. And each one made a snap at him, but the third one, as he jumped, as he just left his back, the crocodile caught him in the heel and just snapped his heel. Fortunately, he had thick boots on, and it didn't go through the boots. He managed to drag his foot free. I mean, that emphasizes the reason that Roger wasn't going to do it.
You become a stuntman because you like the burst of adrenaline. I don't like that rush. I can live quite happily without it.
You plan that everything will go right, but invariably, you know, people can get hurt.
In GoldenEye, the stuntmen were asked to push the limits of innovation, safety, and physical possibilities. In the film's opening sequence, a world free-fall record was planned off the Vetzasca Dam in Switzerland.
What was wanted was a 700-foot dive off the top of the dam in Switzerland. It was a first, it was a world record. The tension is extraordinary. You know, we're on the top of this dam. We've been waiting to get the shot for 2 weeks because of problems with light. It's a free fall. You're reaching terminal velocity. You're trying to desperately keep away from the wall and not go into it, and you're trying to keep out the way of 20 stone of rope that's below you that will kill you if you get entangled in it. It really is very, very extreme on the body.
3, 2, 1, action, go!
But the fall was only half the challenge.
After free falling 400 feet, getting whipped in position by the rope, I had milliseconds to whip this gun out from my jacket, which would follow on for the next shot with Piers. And the funny thing was, I got the gun out just in time. You'll see in the shot, as I get the gun out, get into the end position, I go behind a piece of rock. It looks extraordinarily glamorous, and it's very easy to forget the danger and the hard work and the extremes people go to get that particular result.
If getting in and out of trouble is an art form, then James Bond is truly a virtuoso. The question is, though, will 007 ever meet his match? Or will he continue to miraculously avoid the clutches of some of the most vicious criminals ever to whisper the words, "Goodbye, Mr. Bond"?
They're some of motion picture's most diabolical villains. When we return, come face to face with 007's archenemies and meet GoldenEye's sexy femme fatale.
In the world of 007, around every corner lurks a fiendish villain. Villains so frighteningly twisted that each and every time they come face to face with our luscious hero, they come up with new and more perverted ways to bump off Bond.
You defy all my attempts to plan an amusing death for you.
Let his death be a particularly unpleasant and humiliating one.
Any cost, any Bond must die.
Choose your next witticism carefully, Mr. Bond. It may be your last.
Bond has always faced a never-ending variety of evil masterminds, with names like Dr. No, Red Grant, Goldfinger, Oddjob, Largo, Kananga, Scaramanga, Knick-Knack, Jaws, and Sanchez.
Bond villain? Who's the guy with the big scar down his face?
I am Ernst Stavro Blofeld. This organization does not tolerate failure.
My fondest memory is Oddjob flinging his derby and beheading the statue.
Goldfinger. I think it's got to be Goldfinger, yeah.
Good night, Mr. Bond.
Do you expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
In Goldfinger, Harold Sakata, dressed impeccably in a formal suit and a bowler hat, portrayed the wicked Oddjob. One of the most sinister villains was the twisted diplomat Kananga in Live and Let Die. Actor Yaphet Kotto was given the chance to enter the ranks of Bond villainy.
We'll snip the little finger of Mr. Bond's right hand.
Once you become part of the Bond classics, you're just remembered for all time. To this day, people walk up to me and say, "You did Dr. Kananga and Live and Let Die."
Well,
I think when someone is being kind and smiling and there's a lot of danger around, then that's even more menacing than someone who's purposely trying to be evil.
there is one thing, however, take him to the farm.
He was obviously jealous of Bond, so he was going to outdo Bond in everything that Bond did. He was going to wear better clothes than Bond, he's going to be cooler than Bond, he has better women than Bond. So the attack that I took on the role is Dr. Kananga saw himself as someone who was a social competitor with James Bond.
The larger-than-life, steel-toothed villain Jaws, played by actor Richard Kiel, took the Bond film to a new level of fantasy.
The Spy Who Loved Me had some scenes that, when I saw it for the first time, scared me. When Barbara Bach opened up the wardrobe in the train, I jumped out of my seat. Jaws was a guy, who obviously didn't have an IQ of 180, and he was out there doing his job.
And if there's a problem with customs, no evidence.
They're always at the forefront of defining who the nemesis of the world is going to be.
In License to Kill, actor Robert Darby played the ruthless South American drug lord, Sanchez.
What's the new guy? Somebody I thought could be useful.
The classic Bond villain, I think, has to be formidable. He has to have an intelligence that matches Bond. The audience needs to feel that Bond is up against a villain that the audience almost roots for. They want to see that there's going to be a struggle. They like to see Bond in a vulnerable position. They like to see the villain to be a few steps ahead.
I think that if you try to bring the kind of villains that I played up in '95, you're making a mistake because no one's going to believe it. You have to keep the Bond villains current.
In the latest film, GoldenEye, Bond encounters three of the most sadistic villains ever.
I play Xenia Onatopp in GoldenEye, and as the name already suggests, I'm on top of things, literally and figuratively.
Wait for your turn.
I can be outrageous, I can be bigger, I can be all the things that I would like to be sometimes in life that I can never get away with.
Famke's character is totally outrageous. She has sex with men and she crushes them with her thighs. She really went in there and just played it to the hilt. And she was excellent.
This time, Mr. Bond, the pleasure will be all mine.
Because every Bond villain is required to have an easy-to-recognize diabolical trait, every secret agent must also have the protection of his own little bag of tricks.
Pay attention, 007. This is now being issued as standard equipment.
I've had a few optional extras installed.
The job of turning Bond into a one-man arsenal has always fallen to Q, who provides our hero with an endless supply of gadgets.
Inside the case, you'll find a little red button, a nice little transmitting device, a Geiger counter, an ordinary tin of talcum powder, stun gas, this ultra-sensitive earpiece, an AR-7 folding sniper's rifle. Whatever you do, don't touch it. Open the top, press that button there. Obviously, you'll only use it as a last resort.
Brace yourself.
Now, pay attention, 007. I want you to take great care of this equipment.
Q, have I ever let you down?
Frequently.
Desmond Llewellyn's portrayal of the long-suffering Q has always provided a foil for the James Bond character.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned.
That's putting it mildly, 007. Really, 007. Try to be a little less than your usual frivolous self. Look, I haven't time for these adolescent antics.
You're joking.
I never joke about my work, 007.
Smashing, Q.
Don't ask me about technology. I know absolutely nothing about it. I can't work a gadget. I mean, any gadget that I work goes wrong. And then somebody comes and helps me. And he looks at me and he says, well, I thought you ought to be able to do it. Gem's orders, 007.
He's a magnificent Q, and he's been in every one of the films. I think maybe he missed one of them.
Morning, Q. Sorry about the leg. Skiing?
Hunting.
Bond's faithful sidekicks aren't always gadget gurus and lab technicians. they sometimes wear clothes that are much more exotic, as we'll see next.
For over 3 decades, they've made movie history as the sexiest leading ladies to ever grace 007's silver screen. When we return, meet the women of James Bond.
Regardless of the dangerous locations of his secret missions, 007 has never been one to ignore the fringe benefits of the job. No, shaken, not stirred. James Bond always remains steadfast in his commitment to his duties, to his country, and of course, to his women.
Hello.
The women in the James Bond films are some of the sexiest and most talented to ever appear on screen. Ursula Andress, Honor Blackman, Diana Rigg, Jill St. John, Jane Seymour, Britt Eklund, Maud Adams, Barbara Bach, and Tanya Roberts.
James Bond has had the good fortune to meet a new assortment of girls in a new picture. They are selected to please both Bond and the audience.
I think it's a big compliment for me even to be a Bond girl. Running around on high heels and just being in a beautiful bikini, I think that would have been fantastic.
I'd seen Ursula Andress come out of the sea with the bikini, and after having seen that, I always wanted to be a Bond girl.
I approve.
You do?
Oh, not the wine. Your frock. Tight in all the right places, not too many buttons.
Then I will take it off.
I have a feeling this is the beginning of a wonderful relationship.
I'm beginning to like you, Mr. Bond.
That makes 2 of us.
What's going on behind my back?
Nothing. Look. No hands.
Since you're here, would you mind giving me something to put on?
What sharp little eyes you've got.
Wait till you get to my teeth.
Sex was one of the things that sold the Bond films.
Who are you?
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
People are inclined to say, oh, you were one of the Bond girls. It drives me mad because most of them were just sort of bimbos, weren't they? But Pussy Galore had a very serious and responsible job and did it very well and didn't say yes to Bond straight off.
This should be a memorable flight.
You can turn off the charm. I'm immune. She was equal in intelligence and intellect and talent and professionalism with all the others, with all the men.
You've had classically trained actresses, and you've had models, you've had normal actresses like myself, who had a career before the Bond and since the Bond.
As times change, so too does the role of women in the new 007 film, GoldenEye.
She changed the access codes.
Yes, they do look beautiful. Yes, they are sexy. But they move the story along as well.
What are you doing?
Boris is online backing up his files. If I can spike him, I might be able to find out where they're going. But don't stand there, get us out of here!
Yes, sir.
This is the Bond girls of the 90s, and we really have to do the film more modern, so we have to do them strong. And it's up to us what we do of the characters, and I don't think we should ever change Bond because he should always be this a little bit difficult sexist. It's just up to us how we treat him.
How can you act like this? How can you be so cold?
It's what keeps me alive.
No, it's what keeps you, though.
Nobody does it better. Makes me feel sad for the rest. Nobody does it half as good as you, baby, baby, darling, you're the best. Baby, you're the best.
Besides discovering some of the most alluring screen actresses of the last 3 decades, The 007 film series also made its mark in another area, music. Long before music videos, James Bond films have been putting stunning images with hit songs.
There is nothing better than sitting in a darkened theater and you hear the opening strains of a Bond soundtrack. You immediately have a point of reference that goes 25 years.
Subtlety is not a virtue in a Bond movie. Not in a Bond movie, you play it to the hilt. The whole thing really came together with Goldfinger. And from then on, that was the formula. It was large, bigger than life, extravagant movie making.
Goldfinger, he's the man.
Shirley didn't come in and read this lyric and say, well, what's the meaning? And, you know, she just sang it.
We were in a studio with 60 musicians, and they had an enormous screen, and I had to sing Goldfinger to what was happening on the credits. We got to the end, and the credits didn't seem to end, and I had to hold this note. And it was like forever. At the end, you know, I nearly passed out.
Very different artists used along the way, you know, from Duran Duran to Shirley Bassey and Carly Simon in between. That's really covering the waterfront. But all of them very cannily chosen to reinforce the essential image of the films and of its lead character, of strength, of power, of sophistication.
The latest artist to join the long list of Bond vocalists is none other than Grammy winner Tina Turner.
Shirley Bassey. I'll never forget her voice. I think one has made it when you're accepted in such good company.
Collaborating with Tina on GoldenEye are Grammy Award-winning U2 artists The Edge and Bono, who wrote the title tracks.
Ed is the musical person. I mean, he's very devoted. Bono is interesting and magical in some kind of ways. They're wonderful. I had a feeling they would be.
The idea of Tina Turner and Bono, I mean, that chemistry of those two people, I think Tina is one of the most exceptional artists, and he is a hell of a songwriter. I think it should be very special.
Just when you thought it would be impossible to make James Bond more daring, more dashing, and, yes, more sexy, along comes the new 007, Pierce Brosnan. Stay with me for an exclusive behind-the-scenes journey into the world of GoldenEye, the most challenging Bond film ever to be made.
When we return, a sneak peek at the most ambitious 007 movie ever, the exciting new James Bond adventure, GoldenEye.
James Bond dodges bullet, building blows up. Well, of course it does. I should jolly well hope so. But never in quite the same way as it does in GoldenEye. 3 years in the making, exotic locations, and a ravishing new Mr. Bond. Welcome to the world of GoldenEye. It was the announcement that would set the machine in motion. Fans and the world press had been waiting for nearly 6 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new James Bond, Mr. Pierce Brosnan.
The announcement marked the beginning of GoldenEye.
Stand by. Here we go! Starting, come over! And 3, 2, 1, hang up!
With a story set against the backdrop of the ever-changing New World Order, GoldenEye brings 007 back to the forefront of international intrigue.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
I think what we have here is a franchise which has been very successful, and we have a film which people really want to see, and they want to see it work for all the reasons it worked back then. But I think the film that we've got has got a grittiness to it, and I think it addresses all of the symbols and all of the imagery that turned people on originally.
We're going to test fire GoldenEye.
GoldenEye exists.
Yes.
3, 2,
I want you to find GoldenEye.
1.
Beg your pardon? Forgot to knock. Ready to save the world again? After you, 006.
Bond, come back alive.
6:33, take 3.
Acclaimed action director Martin Campbell filmed GoldenEye on locations around the world, from Russia to Puerto Rico to Monte Carlo and back to England, creating a motion picture of immense scope and scale, as well as taking on the challenge of introducing the new 007.
If you look back on all the various actors who have played Bond, certainly Connery, Roger Moore, Tim Dalton and so forth, they've all brought entirely different kind of characteristics to Bond. And now we've got Pierce, who I think brings an element of classiness to him as well.
Action, Pierce.
I fill the shoes of Bond in my own way. It's not a job that you take lightly. There's an audience out there of 32 years standing, and the expectations are high, so you certainly feel that you're up there on the wire at times. And that's what's so enthralling about Bond. I think he's a really cool dude, actually. I like him.
No more foreplay.
Action has a name.
Bond. James Bond.
Bond is back on video, now digitally remastered to blow you away.
Well, that's a neat trick.
The James Bond 007 collection. Yours to own.
The world of James Bond will return.
So, Bond is back with a vengeance. As long as motion pictures continue to be made and treacherous villains continue to attempt world domination, there will be other heroes trying to save the day. But none of them, in my opinion, are fit to even shake the martini of Agent 007. Bond. James Bond. Nobody does it better.